When you think about Soul Estate Collective today, what comes to mind first?
Soul Estate Collective represents our promise of being a farm to cup coffee roaster and a coffee company. And what I said in the last video of working on the back end and how is that is important, and that is what we have done. We have created a processing center which goes beyond the traditional approach of working on value-added processing, on different methodologies, and really representing what Sri Lankan coffee can be. So taking it from the cherry level, but also realizing the true potential of what that can go up to, and that is really on the processing techniques. And that is what Soul Estate Collective represents, not just a processing center, but also taking or elevating Sri Lankan coffee to the maximum potential it can truly represent.
For someone who has never seen what happens after harvest, how would you explain the role Soul Estate Collective plays in our farm to cup journey?
So the processing center or the Soul Estate Collective, it truly is, I would say, a game-changing element in our value chain. Prior, we used to buy the beans from the different farmers and processors, but there is so much which goes on from the point you pluck the cherry from a tree till it comes to the green bean stage. There is so much of processing that needs to take place in a very technical manner, and that was not happening because the demand of the consumer has gone far ahead. And looking at a global stage, the traditional processing really did not meet the standards that were required for our customers. So using our processing center at Ulapane in Gampola, we were able to establish really game-changing processing methodologies which really elevates what Sri Lankan coffee can be. For example, we're doing natural anaerobics, we're doing honey in multiple methods like black honey methods or red honey, we're doing carbonic maceration, we're doing thermal shock, we're doing yeast inoculation. So we're doing so many different types of experimental processing techniques which really pushes the boundary of what Sri Lankan coffee can become. So that really is what the project is about.
Let's go back to that moment. The lorry arrives, cherries are being offloaded. What's happening on the ground right then?
So first thing is that you have a quality parameter check. So you have the grid where you take a sample of cherries and see how much of is it ripe, red, how much of it is like mildly ripe, is orange or yellow, and how much of it is raw. So you from that and understanding that this lot of cherries has this type of quality parameters. So that is the first step. So from there, once it's unloaded, our team will start sorting it out into those different ripening stages. So you know how to allocate these lots to. So from the tree or from the farmer point itself, we know where this lot comes from and what this lot is like. So that's the first step, is to traceability and then sorting of it. And then we allocate those batches based on which processors that we want to channel these lots to.
What do you and the team check for immediately during the receiving, and why is that first inspection so critical?
So the quality of the raw material will determine the final cup quality. It does not matter if you do phenomenal processing if the raw material is not up to standard. So the first step is to ensure the raw material, in this case coffee cherry, is freshly plucked. It has the right ripening stages, the right sugar levels are checked, and then it's sorted into those different buckets of ripening stages or the sugar level parameters. That's the first stage. Second, you will float them to make sure, you can see in the floating tank, you will ensure that what is floaters are removed, and those are the damaged or the not properly matured or the properly not complying to our standard beans. So those cherries are removed, and that's the first step initially once the cherries come into our factory.
After that, cherries are sorted, floated, and assigned to processors. How structured is that decision? How much is still instinct for you?
Yeah, there's a lot of instinct that goes into it, and we also have a good understanding of what our customers are looking for, like what our specialty cafes are really types of coffee that they think are interesting. So we have a rough idea of that. But also we know from instinct that these cherries will perform really well in certain processing methods. And because certain cherries from certain regions also have inherent characteristics. For example, cherries from Kotmale have a very sweet, floral, very interesting taste notes which we think will perform really well in a honey or anaerobic processing. Then we know some coffees coming from Valley Mother process areas will have that more chocolatey, more darker notes that we think will perform on espresso, and we do that on a more natural process. So we have some instinct on saying which areas to channel them to, and through that kind of ideology, and also we know what the demand is like, we will channel those batches to the different processing lines.
We use natural, honey, washed, and even anaerobic. Can you walk us through what makes each of those processes unique to you?
Each of those processes are very unique and characteristic to determine what type of taste notes that each process comes out with. It's not to say one is better than the other, each is unique. And then from each of those processes, you get really interesting taste notes or characteristics from what that coffee can provide. So if you take a natural process, it's basically the cherries are after the floating tank, they're washed and put to dry on the sunbed. And through that process, it takes about maybe 2 weeks or 3 weeks, and the taste coming from that is a bit more richer, more sophisticated taste notes of a lot of floral, very fruity, a little more complex taste notes, I would say, from natural process. Whereas washed, after you pulp it, then it's dried. So here it's getting more cleaner, more clarity, a different taste profile. If you look at anaerobic, that's really pushing the boundary of what coffee can taste like, even both anaerobic and honey. And for those, you get more enhanced taste notes because the sugar levels are further developed within the cherries. So that is how we determine what each processing is like and how each processing method gives you different taste characteristics.
Anaerobic is something you have been exploring more. What excites you about that method?
So anaerobic is all about the fermentation based on the time and also based on the pH level. And we know based on the pH level and the time that the fermentation takes place, the taste characteristic is varying. And through fermentation, we were able to really extract amazing taste notes of Sri Lankan coffee. So that really excites me because if we are able to use these processing methods to get a phenomenal cup quality or a phenomenal taste from the same cherry, and that is really exciting for me because that really is what we were trying to do to push Sri Lankan coffee to that next level. And these processing methods are allowing us to take it to that global stage.
Was there ever a batch or a moment where the results was completely unexpected, maybe even better than you thought?
Yeah, absolutely. We got a lot of cherries from a small village near Singhapiti, which is actually where coffee began, in the British rule. And these cherries were darker in red, much more riper, larger in size. And we thought it'd be very interesting to try a natural anaerobic with these coffees, and which we did. We did a 72-hour fermentation and we processed it. And then once it's done, I smelled the beans, and the smell was just amazing. I was mind blown. I mean, you could really get that extremely fruity, almost like ketul-like taste notes we were getting on the coffees. Plum, honey, and when we cupped it, the score was close to 87, 88, which was phenomenal, and we've never got that before. So for me, that really, further gave me the confidence that we really are on the right track and we have a phenomenal product. It just needs to be tended to and cared to. So yeah, that was very exciting.
Drying seems simple to most people, just beans on beds, but I know you watch it closely. What are the small things that can make or break quality here?
Absolutely. So drying is also an art. So sun drying is the best way to do it. But if you dry it less and if the moisture is beyond that certain parameter, you will get a moldy coffee. It will definitely be rejected, and you get these off notes. And also if you dry for too long, you will lose the quality and the taste characteristics of the coffee. So you have that certain window where the sweet spot for drying is, and you also have to keep turning the beans so that making sure that everything is equally dried. So there is a science and art to it, and it's trying to capture that exact precise area where the coffee is at the optimum level for us to take it off the racks. So that is really what I'm tracking.
And after drying, the beans rest before being sent to the roastery. Why is that pause important? Why not roast immediately?
It's a very good question. The beans need to settle. The taste needs to kind of settle into what the best potential of that coffee is, because when it's too fresh, the characteristics are still evolving. It's not fully settled in. So you want the bean in the most optimum condition for you to roast and get the best profile out. So for that, you need that settlement time or resting time, and that's why you kind of have that gap.
When do you personally start to sense what a lot is going to become? Smooth, indulgence, intense, or something new?
That's a really good question. So, like I said from the start, we have traceability on every single lot of coffee that comes out. So, when you have each lot, and we process each lot in a different mechanism. So, after it's processed, we will cup each lot. So, we'll take samples, we draw samples from each of those lots processed differently, and we will do a sensory cupping. And from do a sensory cupping, we know, okay, this lot tastes like this lot has these notes, this lot will go here. So when you have a good ideology on what each of these lot tastes like, we know what type of taste profile which we have promised for what a smooth to taste like, or what indulge to taste like. So that way we are able to blend the different regions or different lots to ensure we get a consistent a taste profile, and that's through the cupping process that we establish. And what's interesting is during the cupping, we will find some very exciting lots, something truly unique, something truly remarkable. So for those, we have special blends that we do, like Kotmale collective blends that we introduced. And those is where we put them in those buckets. Also, we have certain customers who we also give our high-end blends to. It goes under, we put their label also on the packs, and that we give to those customers.
You called this space a collective, not just an estate. What does that word mean to you in the context of this work?
That's a really good question. So, Soul Collective represents a number of things. So, within our Soul Collective brand, we have our coffee estates that we are growing coffee in. We have our coffee, the factory, the processing center that we have established. We have our outgrower models. We have a nursery. We have a whole an umbrella of things that's happening within this framework of Soul Estate Collective to make this function. So it's not a singular workflow, it's a number of things put together which helps us get the best bean possible, even before it comes to a roastery. So that's what it represents.
You have spent time with farmers, walked drying beds, cupped these lots. Is there a part of the process that still humbles you?
Yeah, absolutely. It's the sheer hard work that the farmers put in to tend to these plants, to care for these plants, to pluck them when they're ripe, protect them from animals, protect them from disease. There is so much effort that the ground level farmers do, and that always humbles me, because without that, we won't be here, presenting these lots or processing these in such interesting method without these cherries coming into the mix. So really, the hard work and the sweat and the tendering care that they put in only helps us create this phenomenal product to take to the world. So that really humbles me. That
If someone drinks a cup that started in Soul Estate Collective, what do you hope they notice or maybe feel?
I want them to feel amazed, that it's mind blown. The fact that Sri Lankan coffee can taste this unique and this amazing. Like if you had cupped a coffee or tasted coffee from Ethiopia or Rwanda or Brazil, and you drank a coffee from from our Ulapane Estate Collective, and it tastes as good or better, that's what I want to establish, that a wow factor, and truly to show the world that we have arrived.
And now, looking forward, what's your hope for Soul Estate Collective in the next chapter and for the Sri Lankan coffee in general?
I mean, it's one clear goal. It is to put Sri Lankan coffee on a global map. We are not on the map as yet, on the global map. We're not known as yet as specialty coffee, a real a producer, a serious player. And that is my entire goal from all these initiatives, to put us on the specialty coffee map and to show the world that we have arrived, and we're really something to look at, a new and rising origin And that is what I want to do.